I'm Marlaina Scarbrough, and today we're in Kalkaska at the Trout Statue speaking with Village President Jeff Sieting. Jeff, can you explain to us why there was a fish statue built?
Yeah, it's a long story, sort of. There's a little bit of argument between whose brainchild this really was. Mabel Dingman, who used to own Dingman's Bar, had the idea. She took it to the Trout Board at the time, which was 1965, and they weren't really that keen on it. They said they didn't have the finance for it. So she decided, she had drawn the elk card. She wound up getting an elk that elk season, and she donated the elk for a dinner, and that's what began the fundraising for the trout.
And that's a really neat story on how this came to be. Do you know who built it?
Well, there were several people involved, but one of them was my grandfather, Bill Short, helped carve this. Everybody asked what it's made out of, so it's funny you did too, but it's made out of styrofoam with a fiberglass overcoat, so that's where it began. They took a frozen trout and based their carving off that with the styrofoam and then overlaid it with fiberglass.
And that's really neat, and you would think just looking at it that it could be built out of stone, but really it's made out of styrofoam.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of people think it's made out of cement or concrete, yeah, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it has to hold up to the winters and everything too, which is really great.
Yeah, it takes a beating though. We've had to refurbish it a couple of times. Thank goodness we've had people that are really everybody just kind of has adopted this fish, so when it comes to projects like that, we redid this whole area a couple years ago. And so Dave Comey from Howard's Collision came out with a boom truck, a flatbed truck, and they just coddled it like a little baby, strapped it all up, and lifted it up, laid it down, and it disappeared for about 3 months while they redid it. So it takes some maintenance and upkeep. It takes a beating out here.
So with that maintenance and upkeep, I mean, what specifically do you have to do, like winterizing, maybe in the summer, or if we get a big windstorm, what do you have to do to that?
Yeah, windstorms and stuff like that really don't affect it. It's just mainly when the water and stuff build up in it over the winter time. It gets in there, it freezes, it expands and contracts, expands and contracts. And so it's things like that need to be maintained, because once the fiberglass is compromised, then it would completely deteriorate if it was left unchecked. So.
Well, definitely. I mean, you want to keep it here for a very long time. And what does the community think about it? Do they kind of have some sort of an identity when they're speaking about their hometown in Kalkaska that, hey, I have a trout statue, you know, that's like the main mascot of my city?
Yeah, they do, and it's funny. It kind of comes and goes, but I know I read something, I sit on the DDA board as well, and there was a short little narrative about the trout, and it talked about it being one of the most photographed and recognized monuments in the state of Michigan, which, you know, that's kind of unbeknownst to us, but as you watch, I sit over at the Sieting Hotel and watch, there are 3,000 people a summer take their photographs here, so it's a mainstay. But the community loves it. I've had 1,000 people ask me, what's its name? So I think we're working on getting a name for it right now. I said it's Clifford, but you know, others said it's Mabel. I don't know.
So with all the tourism and people always looking at the statue, what kind of fish is it? Because I'm sure a lot of people call it different things and they think it's a different species. What fish is this statue?
Well, at this point right now, it's a brown trout, or a brookie we would call it. So that's the characteristics. It's been probably every kind of trout there is, except a salmon. I don't think it's ever been a pink salmon. So, but other than that, it changes. It depends on the inspiration of the individual that's restoring it at the time. So
it can change different species anytime that you need to restore it?
Yep, anytime we decide what we want it to look like. So, yeah.
And that's really neat. I really like how you're open to having it being a different fish, you know, and have it be part of the Kalkaska community.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's gender neutral.
And that's always a good thing.
That's always a good thing.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
In Kalkaska at the fish statue, I'm Marlaina Scarbrough with My News 26.